Hello everyone, thanks for watching. Today's video is going to be something that I teach in class, but what I'm finding is when I teach the color codes of awareness, it's easy to explain what it means, but students sometimes have difficulty trying to figure out how that applies to situational awareness and your mindset out in public. So what I'm going to do is, you can see here, I got a map drawn out of a neighborhood that I grew up in here in New Haven, Connecticut, hung out here a lot as a kid, and I'm going to apply the color codes of awareness, which really is just a mindset. That's all it is. So don't get hung up on the colors. Get hung up on what the mindset is. All right. I'm going to read what Google has in here, if just in case you Google it to find out what color codes of awareness is. This is what it'll say. The Cooper color codes are a system for assessing and understanding situational awareness using color codes to represent different levels of mental alertness and preparedness. Sounds real simple, sounds great, but sometimes things sound more tactical and, I don't know, more like it's just mumbo jumbo, if you will, to some people who really don't understand situational awareness and self-defense to the level that other people do. All right. I'm going to talk about a situation that me and a friend of mine went through. We were in high school at this point, but he had great street smarts. I had good street smarts, or okay street smarts. So I'm going to apply what our mindsets were during the situation. Now, white is unaware. There's 5 color codes. White is unaware. Obviously, I had to write it in blue so you can see it. But blue is going to represent white in this situation. Unaware. Unaware is walking around with your headphones on. Like today, everybody's on their tablets and their cell phones and stuff, not paying attention. That's white. Totally unaware, and it's a mindset that we need to stop having, because that's how you could wind up in a bad situation like what I'm about to talk about. We saved ourselves because back then we did not walk around in an unaware mind state. All right. Yellow. Hopefully you can see this. I know the lighting's a little crazy down here in my basement. I have to get better lighting. I apologize, but the message is more important. Yellow, aware. This is the condition that our mindset should be. Don't get hung up on what the color is. Get hung up on what the mindset is associated with the color. All right. Yellow, aware. You are, you're not looking all over the place, but you understand. There's people over here. There's people here. There's a car here. That you're aware of what's going on around you. That's all yellow is. That's the mindset you should have all the time. Orange, you're recognizing there's a possible threat and you're ready to react. Doesn't mean it is a threat. You just recognize something's not right. This is what I'm going to do if this is what I think it is. That's orange. Red, high alert. You're actually taking action. Oh, shoot. This is what I thought it was. This is the action that I'm taking. You're walking down the street. Neighborhood dog comes out of the backyard you've never seen before. Dog's walking towards you. Possible threat. That dog starts walking towards you. You're taking action. You're crossing the street because it's a high alert. I'm just giving you a watered down example or something about your mindset in that situation. Black is panic, frozen. That's when you see people just standing there. If you watch videos now of shootouts, it's crazy. You see people standing right there and they don't move. Sometimes they're used to it, but a lot of times this is the mindset that they're in, believe it or not. That's why a lot of people don't go anywhere. They stand there, they're looking around, and because they haven't trained their mind what to do in that situation. Hopefully this video will help you get your mindset right, so if something goes down, you can react to it and you don't get stuck in the box, you know, that black panic frozen mindset. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to plot the course that me and my friend took. All right. And then I'm going to plot our situational awareness. I'm going to plot the color codes of awareness according to how the situation played out. All right. If that makes sense to you. All right. So this is the spot that we hung out at a lot when we were kids. The corner of Orchard and Edgewood Avenue. That was our hangout spot, and this park here that we cut through heading home. This situation happened that night, by the way. So this is the route we took. Down Edgewood Avenue. When we got to Troop Middle School, I just didn't write the schooling, but this is Troop Middle School, and this is the park behind the school. We cut through here. This is a spot we hung out at a lot, played basketball in, very comfortable with this neighborhood. All right. We got to the corner of Platt Street and Elm Street, and we crossed the street. Our route was supposed to be to head down Elm Street, down Sherman Ave to Whaley Avenue, and then down Whaley Avenue towards Ellsworth Avenue, where we both lived at that time. That was the route we were supposed to take. But that's not the route we took. And the reason our route changed is because of this car right here. Now, let me write down. I can't use that color. I'll use green. All right, now let me plot first. Let me plot where the car went. This car came down the road here. I can't remember if we noticed the car when we were in the park, because the car was probably back here somewhere. But when we crossed the street, we definitely saw this car. All right. That car came down Elm and then stopped and parked right about here. All right. That's where the car parked. All right. That's where it parked. Excuse my chicken scratch. But it came down here and it slowed down and it parked right here. Now, I'm going to plot the color codes of awareness so you can understand where our mindsets were during this time. We actually never were in condition white. That's just something that you didn't walk around New Haven back then, or you shouldn't do it now, but definitely back then we didn't walk around like that with headphones on, which people did have Walkmans or Discmans or whatever. We just didn't walk around like that at night because that's how you get stuck up. All right. But we never were in condition white, but I wrote it up here just so you know that's one of the conditions. Hopefully you can see this. I know the lighting's bad again. Apologize, but we were in condition yellow the whole time, walking down Edgewood towards Bear Street, and then we crossed through Troop Park, Middle School Park, all right, to the corner of Platt Street and Elm Street. Our mindsets were still condition yellow. We got down here, all right, and that's when our mindsets changed. We were no longer in condition yellow again because of this car. We were aware, but once that car started to slow down somewhere, maybe about here, all right? When that car started to slow down, both of us, our mindsets went to orange, all right? Now, we've walked, I'm still going to write this. No, I'm going to keep this orange because we walked maybe, say right about up there. Once that car slowed down and parked there, we both went to condition orange mentally. All right. And I'm going to say right about there, that's when my friend, his name's Dwayne, he passed on, God rest his soul, good guy. Right there, that's when he said, hold up, cross the street. All right? Right about here, he says, cross the street. All right? Now, when he says that, we cross here. Now, both of our minds are conditioned orange. We recognize there's a possible threat. We were ready to react. I'm going to leave mine as orange, but his mindset went to red. That's why he said, cross the street. You're not ready to react. And he reacted. He took action on that threat because it was no longer a possible threat in his mind. And I'll explain why. So physically, if this makes sense, we were both yellow all the way here and then orange hair. Once he said cross the street, I was still orange. And I'll explain that in a little bit. You can be physically in the same color code, if that makes sense, but mentally, you're going to be in two separate color codes. You're going to be in two separate mental awareness states. All right. I'll explain that. But for him, he went red for a fact. His condition changed to red. And we're walking all the way down the street. We never crossed back over because that car was on this side of the street. We continued down Elm Street to Winthrop Avenue, which was here. And then we cut down to Whaley Avenue and then continued down to Ellsworth Avenue. All right. But my mental state, hopefully you can see these colors. I really can't tell. But my mental state was still orange. Though physically red, because I was with him. Mentally, my mind was still orange. Now, why is that? I'm going to tell you why. When that car parked here, my friend said, when he communicated right here, all right, I don't even remember writing that up there. I'm getting old. But he communicated to me at that point why he recognized that car as a threat. And his mindset went to condition red. He said, cross the street. When we got here, he told me why we crossed the street. He said, those people don't live there. And I knew that. But he said, those people don't live there. Those are stick-up kids. People in this area were getting robbed at night. I remember all of that. People were getting robbed, particularly right at this intersection. It was happening a lot. I mean, all through here, but it happened a few times at this intersection around this time. Now, my mind, if he wasn't with me, my mind still would have been conditioned orange because I recognized this car as a possible threat. And when that car parked here, my mind wasn't saying, oh, high alert, cross the street. My mind was saying, maybe they're dropping somebody off or they're picking somebody up. I knew they didn't live there, but I still looked at him as a lower threat mentally than he did. All right. His mind went red. We crossed the street. Because of him, we did the right thing. I did the right thing by not questioning him because I knew if he felt something wasn't right, we're going with it. And we crossed. Now, if he wasn't with me and my mind was still thinking these people are possibly dropping somebody off or picking somebody up, I would have still been conditioned orange walking down this street. And once those stick-up kids would have got me right where they needed me, my condition would have been red here. All right. I would have been condition red right there, fighting for my life. Again, this is at nighttime. All right. There's trees, there's bushes over here. You don't have much to maneuver. That's what I was trying to say. You don't have much room to maneuver. But because of his smart thinking, of his situational awareness, when he said cross the street, he created a distance between the possible threat and us. All right. He looked at that as a high alert, cross the street, created distance. I wouldn't have done that because my mind was saying that this here is a car that's either dropping somebody off or picking somebody up. All right. Now, I would have been, who knows? I would have been in a fight. What type of fight? I don't know. Knives, guns would have came out. If there were multiple people and I was by myself, I would have had to run. All right. I would have had to take off running. Maybe cut down hair. Maybe cut up this way. Who knows? Maybe take off back in this direction. But I would have been in condition red all over the place. Now, because of his smart thinking, we crossed the street. I think they recognized that we recognized them and they knew we were ready to react. That's why they never got out of that car. Because had they opened up those doors and we saw them getting out, we were gone. We were gone. I knew we were gone. Because once he told me those are stick-up kids, my mind at that point, we were both condition red. So I should change this. Well, you get the point. There was no orange at that point for me. All right. I'm not going to cross that out. These erasers only erase that great. But at this point, we were no longer orange and red. We were both red mentally, and we were ready to react based on that car because we both recognized it as a possible threat. We recognized it as an issue, but he recognized it as a high alert and crossed. I recognized it as a possible threat, and I would have kept walking. Two guys, street smart, one with more street smarts than the other, but we're both in the same situation, same quote unquote color code as we're walking. All right. Same color code, but mentally we're in two separate mind states. Now, why is that such a serious issue? The reason I'm telling you this is we both knew this neighborhood very well. So I would have reacted based off of him and the situation. Okay, I was ready. He was ready. But if you were here with, let's say, a possible, not possible, sorry, with a cousin or your girlfriend or whoever, your girlfriend, your boyfriend or whatever, you're in this situation. You have street smarts. They have street smarts, but they're one of those people that, it's not that serious. Why do you carry a gun? You're paranoid. You don't have to worry about that all the time. You're all, don't worry about it. You know those type of people. All right. Nothing ever happened to them in their life. So they walk around with this mindset that the world is la la land. All right. As long as they're good, they're good. Those are the people that wind up in that panic frozen mode. Okay. Soon as something happened, if you cross the street with that person and you're here and they jump out, there's a very good chance that you might run in separate directions. All right. Or they might freeze up when you take off. You might tell them to run and they run in the opposite direction, or you tell them to run and they don't run. They've never been through that. They don't have that mindset. All right. That's why it's so important to communicate with people. This is not a knock at my friend, but I'm saying this because we went through this. Communicate with the person soon as you recognize that that's a high alert. Don't wait till you get across the street. We would have been okay. You may not. You may not be okay in a situation like this. If you're with someone that doesn't have the same level of street smarts as you or any type of street smarts, they're just one of these people that think the world is not going to bother them if they stay the course of a good person. They're not going to run into anything. Those people are going to put themselves in this panic mode somewhere along here. God forbid if it happens here, they're going to freeze up because the threat is like 5 feet or 10 feet or less. You're right on the sidewalk where the car is. Over here, you have a better chance of reacting, but that person that's with you will put you in a far worse situation. Communicate with that person the moment you recognize it's a possible threat or a high threat, and you tell them, this is what we're going to be doing. You know the neighborhood. Regardless of what neighborhood it is, this is what we're going to do. If something happens, this is where we're running. This is what we're going to do. This is where we're going. Communicate that with them and be serious about it. Because in this situation, he didn't have to communicate that to me right here. I think he knew that. That's why he didn't say it till we got here. But I'm saying to you, you have to do it if you're with someone that doesn't have that type of street smarts. You understand? I wasn't at his level of street smarts, but I still was aware enough to know this car was a threat. Some people will look at it as not being a threat. They're just dropping somebody off, especially if they don't know the neighborhood. They're going to say those people live there. We knew they didn't. But if you were in that neighborhood, you wouldn't know. And you probably would have been walking down here. But if you recognize that car was a possible threat because people are in the car looking at you, you know, doing this, looking over the headrest back at you. Okay, something's going on with this car. This is what we're going to do. Or we're going to cross the street right now. Don't question me. Let's go. That type of thing. All right. So I hope me applying the color codes of awareness to a situation like this helps you understand how your mindset is and what it should be in a situation. All right. I know just reading about it or talking about it sometimes isn't that great at explaining it. Sometimes you need to see it applied to a real world situation like what I went through, all right, with my friend. Nothing bad happened. We don't even know if these were stick up kids. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And yeah, he knew. I knew it was possible, like I said, but let's just say maybe they weren't. It doesn't matter. We made it home. That's the whole point. I don't care if they were or weren't. The idea, we avoided a possible conflict by crossing the street and getting the heck out of Dodge. All right? That's the whole point of situational awareness. Don't question, yeah, maybe they were, maybe they were. Who cares? You made it home safe. All right? So leave a comment. I hope this helps. Share the video, like the video. The more you share and like, it helps me grow the channel. It helps me put more content like this. My channel is not a gun channel. It is a self-defense channel, situational awareness, and so on. I am not a gun channel. I want to put more content out about situational awareness and self-defense, you know, more than just firearms, all right? Help me do that by helping me grow this channel. Subscribe to the channel and let me know if this helped you or not. Leave a comment. And there's a situation that happened right about here where a gun was involved. It didn't come out, but it was about to come out. If you want me to talk about that situation, me and the same guy and a bunch of other guys at night, we were just doing this route in reverse. There's a Chinese restaurant that was right here, and that's where we were coming from. Just going this way back to hang out at this spot right here. All right. If you want me to talk about that and apply the color codes of awareness to that, I will. All right. Talk to you guys later. And please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.